Welcome everyone to the Superstars of Business Call. We're so glad you're here with us. We're here every Tuesday night, but tonight, we're having this series, The Master Trainers. And I got to tell you, this is one of my mentors. He is, not only is he a great guy, not only is he the most knowledgeable person I know, not only is he a great coach, and not only does he have the best wife in the whole wide world. If you haven't met his wife, you need to meet his wife because she is absolutely fantastic. But what can we say? He's a smart man. But I'm going to show you a slide here just really quick. And let's see if I can. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna put this up here and we are going to, there we go. The world according to Todd Rowland. One of the things you're going to notice about Todd is he's a family man. He's a great coach. And by the way, I've discovered that if you say he's a football coach, the basketball people say, no, he's not. He's a basketball coach. And if you say he's a basketball coach, the football people say, no. He's a football coach. So I just call him coach. It just works real well. But I want you to notice something here. Is there anything first of all, Coach Todd Rowland, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for inviting us. I am so excited to be with you, Ava.
Oh, I just love it because you're so good for us. Anthony and I were talking. There is no one is better at making people feel good about themselves than you. You are great.
Well, I never lie. So if I told you something good, I mean it with the sincerity of my heart. So you and Anthony are very special people. I see, actually, I'm looking at the people in here. Everybody, there's a lot of special people in here tonight. Betsy Waters is here. She's got the best radio voice on planet Earth. She needs to be the one being interviewed.
Oh, isn't she good? I mean, she does it so well. She is such a good friend. I know she is really good at that. So now we have we have a picture up here of you and your beautiful wife at the Liberty game. We have you here with the family coaching. We have you getting ready to do some video training. Is there anything anything special about any of these pictures, any stories behind them?
The biggest story behind it all, Ava, is those 4 kids. We can't have them hard getting them in all the pictures now because some are in college and out of college, but the one on the top right there shows all 4. The older guy there standing up at the back was 5 years old when I entered network marketing. The girl and the boy in the gray sweatshirt were the gray sweatshirt was a newborn and the girl was 1 year old. The one in the red was not born yet. And the wife was working at a doctor's office and she quit her job so she could raise our 3 children. We ended up homeschooling them. And the 4th one eventually came along, but we entered this industry not because I wanted to do network marketing and really not because of anything other than just pure necessity. I always tell people that my income was fixed as a high school football coach, no different than welfare or anything else somebody would call a fixed income. I couldn't do anything to make it more. I'd already gotten my master's degree, which made no difference by the time I paid my student loan. It was like a $40 a month raise. So I was tapped out. So I was having to do things outside of my profession to stay alive. And I already was working 70 hours a week within my profession. I'd won a couple of state championships. When you win, you got to win more, which I think is why coaches end up being good at network marketing. We're always based upon our performance. We can win 3 games in a row, but if we lose the 4th one, everybody wants to fire us. So it's you always got to win. But we entered the industry so she could be a stay-at-home mom with our kids. Although I'm on the front lines a lot, she's a partnership. So she has always ran the house and let me go out here and build the business. So that's the story of the picture. And now they're all grown up. And the story they would tell you today, now that they're in college and most of them driving new cars and we pay for their college and none of them had to work while they played sports, is that they're really thankful that their dad got into network marketing, allowed them a different lifestyle than they would have had otherwise. And they will also tell you they've never seen their mom or dad go to work a day in their life. Cole remembers when I coached, but barely, but the rest weren't old enough to remember. They've seen me. I actually coached my son and my daughter when they were in high school. I ran the weight room here at a local school in Florida, and I coached football while my son was playing for 4 years. But I did it for free, so it was. But I got to spend that time with him, just like I had been coaching full time. So anyway, probably more than you wanted, but I always think defining the why. Why do you want better? Because for all of us, we got to find the time to do this. We got to get through the no's. We got to deal with rejection. We got to learn something new. We got to believe in ourselves. We got to believe in ourselves in a new arena. All those things are hard, really hard, harder for some than others. And so it's those kids are what drove me in the early days. I couldn't quit on them. You can quit on yourself. You can't quit on your kids.
So basically, this is a family business. Your children grew up in the business.
They did. My daughter makes about $1,000 a week. She just bought herself a brand new 4Runner, $52,000, and I put $10,000 down. And she plays lacrosse in college as my daughter's. She has summer jobs, you know, at the beach and stuff, but she always played basketball and stuff in high school. She's never really worked. And I put her in the business 5 years ago, and I started building her a leg, and she started recruiting on the other side through friends and their parents. And bam, we hit a couple of good people about 2 years ago, and it went a couple hundred a week, 300 a week, 500 a week. And a lot of times now she's 600, 700, 800 a week.
Okay. So this is interesting. You say we got a couple of good people. So every time I turn around, you're adding somebody to MOA Challenge or to RX Nation, you know, congratulations, welcome, congratulations, welcome. You're recruiting all the time, but you said we got a couple of good people. So does everybody turn out, or is it, how can you go from all these people you recruited to saying, I got a couple good people? What does that mean?
Well, by the way, you're a great interviewer, and I love your background. And you really are.
Thank you.
Yes. And well, you know, we're always looking for a couple in different areas of our business. And some of them I recruited, and others you find through people, meaning that what I found early on in the industry, and it's never changed in 19 years, maybe different avenues, we may Zoom it now. I just love being around people. That's the reason I do so many in-person meetings. I think nothing will ever take the place of that. But what I learned is that if I could get a bunch of part-time people in my business doing a little bit, then I could go full-time. Because if I had 20, 25 people that would set me up 2 appointments a week, if I had 25 times 2 would be 50 appointments a week. I got to go help people show the business. And if I can get 5 of them to set up a living room meeting, I'm out of nights. And if I can get a weekly meeting running and a couple of Zooms for those people, so all of a sudden I'm still recruiting, but I've got a team of people that really are doing very little. They're just playing with it. They're busy. They're at work. They're soccer games. I just keep them enough engaged to get me to the next person they know that I don't know. And that's what we did in my daughter's business. I started building a leg underneath her. It really took off. You would know one side of her leg is Mark and Beth Lewis. That started with a cousin of mine 5 year ago when I put her in. I put a cousin of mine in Nashville under her on one leg. She was my first cousin. I hadn't seen her in 25 years. I recruited her off Facebook. She came to Destin. I took her and her family out to eat, and they joined the next day. And it's just, she's never done a lot, but it trickled over a couple of years and finally got me to Mark and Beth, who blew that leg open. And then on the other side,
they were our guests. Beth and Mark have been my guests twice. They're fantastic.
It's unbelievable. So I found them 4 years later after putting my cousin Danessa in the business. Danessa's great. She could be equally as good. She just got vices like a lot of people do. She has young kids and a sick husband and other things going on that keep her from really doing much. But she's done just enough to get me to a couple people, and who got me to a couple people that got me to Mark and Beth. And Mark raised his hand and says, I want to do a lot. And I said, well, I'll do a lot with you. And that's what I've learned through the years is I love to work with the easy ones. When somebody says, hey, help me, I want to do this big, then I go pour all my time into them. And I help them. And Eva, I could train for days, but it's all about this. I help them do what I just told you. I said, Mark, who can we go? Can we go show a few people for you when I come up? He lives about 6 hours from me. I live in Florida. I say, Mark, I'm going to come. Matter of fact, I am headed to Mark's place right now. I just left the Pensacola meeting, and I'll be with Mark all afternoon tomorrow. So I'm driving 6 hours to get there. And we're meeting a doctor at 3:00, somebody he knows that I don't. I'll just be there to help him share him. And then we've been doing these little meetings, but tomorrow night is going to be his biggest meetings. He put a a girl in, been recruiting for 6 months, finally joined, that came from Herbalife, that's got 12 guests coming tomorrow night. Then he's got a team now of about 40 or 50 people. So we're going to have our biggest meeting ever. And it all just started. I've driven 6 hours to Nashville for him probably 20 times, and 10 of those 20 times weren't really good, but they're always good in my book because I got to spend the time with somebody that wants to do this. I got to give him some training, and if we got to show one person, we made progress. So I didn't care. I knew he wanted to do it. I knew he was talented. So we keep going, and boom, that's about to pop now.
So, so that sounds to me, sometimes they were good, sometimes they weren't. Have you ever driven 6, 7, 8 hours and had no guests?
See, I don't keep many things from my wife, but that's what I keep from her. I have for 19 years in the industry. Almost all meetings are bad. People don't understand that I go all over the place presenting for people. If you're working on the front lines, meaning you're helping brand new people get started, brand new people struggle. They struggle to invite a lot of times. They struggle to get people to show up a lot of times. They have people that no-show them a lot of times. So yeah, there's certain spots I could go to and there'd be a big crowd when I showed up every time. But I always try to stay in the areas with people that are hungry, that want to get new areas going. So I send out pictures of the good meetings. I don't send out pictures of the no-show meetings. I probably should start doing that. Hey, just drove 6 hours. Here I am at Wendy's.
We all have those pictures.
Yeah, so Lorraine, the first time I drove to do a meeting for Lorraine, it was a Saturday. It was stormy that day. COVID was going strong, and I don't remember exactly, but I think there was 4 or 5 people there. I mean, that's about an 8-hour drive for me, and it was my daughter's birthday weekend. So I just took my daughter with me and my wife, and we stayed, kind of made her birthday down there. It was her 21st birthday, and I went to Lorraine's meeting. It was a bad meeting, but she was wonderful. She was awesome, and her spirit was so good, and it ended up convincing her to come to Dallas. And then last night, her meeting had about 45 people in it, and it was one of the most energized meetings I'd been in a really long time. It was just marvelous. I always tell people, you can't ever have the great meetings if you don't do the bad meetings. That one can't come without the other. It's a process. Every business is a process. That's the reason small business owners do well, is because every small business owner knows a business is a process. There's a lot of bad before the good arrives. There's good along the bad in the beginning, but I mean, we're a business. We're not a lottery ticket. You don't sign up and get $10,000 direct deposited a week from Friday. You gotta build a network selling products and then get override commissions. And it takes time to build that network. Thank goodness it does. If you could build a network in one day, then there would be no opportunity. It had already been built. All the people with big networks would already have it all done. Thank goodness people like me without a network could show up here and start with one American history teacher at a teacher's in-service that I was bored listening to the guy talking up there, and I started talking to him about my business I just started and convinced him to sign up. And he led me to his daughter, who led me to a guy in town named Chris Dooley that owned a smoke shop and was a fireman on part-time. And he led me to another fireman that went full-time in my business. And the story I just told you occurred for me 19 years ago. It took 7 months for that story to develop. But when that fireman went full-time in my business, it retired me from high school coaching. It took my paycheck from a few $100s a month to a few $1,000s a month in a matter of 90 days.
So do not despise small beginnings, is what I hear.
You'll never have a big business without small beginnings. But you don't want to, you always tell people, yeah, but don't live in misery. Let's don't be talking 3 years into this about your small meetings. I mean, there is a point where I quit showing up for people if their meetings are always bad, because that means they're never doing anything when I'm not there, or they don't have a good attitude. This is all. So the second secret, Evan, I'm sorry to speak over you, but the second secret here, secret number 1, learn how to work through people, be patient, be persistent, recruit yourself. Don't use other people as a crutch not to recruit yourself. You're doing it's all simultaneously. But here's the other thing. We're in the business of transforming lives, health-wise, financial-wise, beauty-wise, skin-wise. We're transforming lives. You can't transform other people's lives bringing the baggage in your life into their life. Meaning, we all have baggage. We all have issues. We all got things going on all the time. But if you're going to transform somebody's life, then you got to check that at your own door when you walk out of it. And when you walk into somebody else's life, you're all about bringing life into them, speaking great things into their future, and helping them overcome their bad circumstances, and getting things better. And when you do that, then it helps you deal with your own issues in a better light, because you're learning to speak positive, not only to other people's lives, but then some people learn how to speak into others' lives, but they can't speak it into their own life. Then you'll start learning how to speak it into your own life. And really what we're doing, and I'm training on this in Destin on that Friday, what we're doing is we're breaking generational curses of poverty is what we're doing. We're changing people's destiny, because I have a lot of pastors in my business, and not I have in my business, but I have in my family. I grew up in the church, and I grew up in some really strong churches, small churches, grandparent churches, things like that. And I mean, there's a lot of praying people that never received, because they would pray, but then they would turn, and I didn't understand what was going on at the time. I was like, why? But then they would turn around and speak negative right back into their life. So they're asking for one thing and speaking something else. So you have to train the tongue to speak life into you, and then eventually everybody around you. Anyway, sorry to get off track, but that's the secret. That is the secret.
I mean, you're talking to a pastor here. I'm going like, go, go, go. You know, it's speak life, and it will not return void. You create the environment around you by the words and the actions that you speak and you do. And that's perfect. I mean, that is amazing. And that kind of segues into, okay, I've got some pictures here for you. Okay, so like I said, Todd is one of my mentors. When you want to know, especially, I mean, what I love about Todd is that Todd is so positive, but he'll also give you the bottom line, and give you a kick when you need it, in a loving manner. He won't make you cry, but he will make you change your ways. But I just want everybody to see, Todd, can you see this? I just want you to see something here. Here's Todd working very hard.
That's a terrible picture.
Here's Todd working very hard. Here's Todd working very hard. Now, I want you to understand this. These pictures, I know, because I had called him and he answered my phone calls and answered my questions for me. And we're not even on the same pay line. So if you're on this call and you're going like, it's network marketing. Well, this is RX, New Age. And we're one team, one dream, one team. And I'm telling you, every time I call you, Coach, you are on the beach.
I love the beach. So people think I work hard, and I do, but I always tell people I work in spurts. So they'll see me running all over the country, but then if they don't really notice, but then they don't see me for a week. And when you don't see me for a week, unless I make a post, you're looking where I'm usually at. I love it.
So
God's spirit lives above the waters, and I love to sit out there on the sand and watch it.
See, so that must have something to do with the fact that on November 20th and 21st, you have put this entire advanced training together. And where did you put it at? Where are we going, Coach?
Right where God's spirit hovers. And this is, if you've never been to Destin before, it's the cleanest water in the continental United States with the whitest sandy beaches. It is just a unbelievable area. We've been a little bit dirtier this year because we have so many hurricanes, but by the time November rolls around, it should be clearing out, be a north wind, flat water. It'll hopefully be warm enough you can get in the water still, but it's going to be a little bit different event on that Friday. Ava, the only people that will train are people that have made in excess of $5 million in the industry. And it's just going to be a few of us that do that. I think right now I can tell you between Brent Palmer, Chris Dole, and myself, that's about 45 million in earnings in the industry. And we're going to teach you what we do. And then on Saturday, we're then going to take every other great leader out there. You, Anthony, I know Craig's coming, all the leaders. I think Aubrey's on here coming from Alabama. There's going to be a number of leaders, and we're going to be dividing up all the subjects we know we need to be trained on. Everything from how do you sponsor? How do you do things on social media? How do you follow up? How do you get them signed up? How do you get them started? How do you get them plugged in? So everybody will have that different subject matter. You haven't seen the itinerary yet because this event had been in flux for a really long time between the virus, and it was actually set for the weekend that the Eric Warrior event ended up being on. So then we're trying to figure out when we're going to move it to. So it was late notice. We're just waiting to see all the leaders that are coming. Then we'll divvy out all those different things, and you'll know time frames and things like that. So anyway, we'll have that hopefully within sometime late next week.
Well, Coach, I was doing some research, and Forbes magazine had Coach Brenton, I talked about this last week, had an article, and it began, and it wasn't necessarily, he was kind of like lukewarm towards network marketing, but then he made the comment, some of the best training in the world. He said, the reason you want to get into network marketing is because you'll get an Ivy League education from people who are doing, not people who are theorizing.
Yeah,
Did you get that?
Well, what I've learned through the years out here is that you'll meet very few people that spent significant time working Amway. I always say there's two things about those people. One, I can very seldom find very many that have made much money. That's one thing that RX is so different on. We have a pay plan that works. If Amway had a great pay plan, they would have shut down the world. It would have been Amazon. Nobody could have ever competed with them. But their pay plan is horrible. I think we pay out twice as much as they do, and plus the way they pay it out is very weird. It's just hard to extract income from. But those very same people that spent 3, 4, 5 years there and never really made a full-time living at it have all become ultra successful in other areas now. I mean, from whether it be developers or business owners or restaurant owners, they've taken that skill set because it hardens you. Especially people like me, that I got out of college and got a government job. I mean, I work for a school system. It's hard to get fired in a school. Coaches can get fired, but teachers really can't get fired. So, coaches got to perform, but teachers to an extent got to perform, but really not. So for people like me that are kind of soft, when I got out here and people started telling me no, and I realized that I made a good paycheck this week, but that didn't guarantee me a good paycheck next week. And there was nothing set in stone, and I had to buy my own insurance. All of those factors started playing in my mind, like, oh my gosh, this is hard. But then you break through. So as a working for the school system, I had a set salary, but it sucked. I couldn't pay my bills with it, and it rose 3% year over year. I had insurance, but I still didn't have enough money to make my copay because I was living below paycheck to paycheck. So when I went out on my own with network marketing, everything was harder, but I broke through. And when you get to 20 or 30,000 a month, you don't worry about all those other things so much anymore. You buy your own insurance, you get a higher deductible. You can go in and pay a $10,000 deductible. And then if you really get good at this and work really hard at it, you get into another level of income, then you get to live life really without thinking about money. See, I always tell people, the only people that really think about money are people that don't have any of it. If you've got money, you really get to spend your time thinking about other people and what you can do for other people. And I know you have a spirit, a missionary spirit, a pastor spirit, and that world is so limited on funding, especially with the virus going on right now. I have a lot of missionaries right now that are surviving on half of what they're used to surviving on. So this gives us a chance here to make our money. We're not dependent upon other people, and go do what that's your passion. Somebody else may be their passion may be hunting, and I don't know what everybody's passion is, but you get to go do it. Mine was coaching. So I got to go back and coach for 4 years for free. And I didn't even have to teach in the classroom. I had nobody tell me what to do. I just got to show up at the field house every day and do what I wanted to do and coach. And they didn't, matter of fact, they still gave me like an $8,000 supplement, but I ended up buying TVs and stuff for the weight room with that money, making everything better in there.
So let me ask you a question. With COVID, the entire restaurant industry is hurting. there are so many industries that are hurting. We have people on this call who are brick and mortar. And what would you say to them when it's, I've lost my job, I've lost my business? What do you say to that person who says, I've lost everything, there's nothing there. Why would I take my last penny and start this business?
So Eva, I have two answers. Number one, anytime you're at the bottom, it's hard. And there's not a lot of person can tell you, like me, when you're the one at the bottom for that particular moment, the weight of the world's on you, trying to figure out how you're going to survive. What you've always done is not working the way it used to work. That's more of I found a book. I've been there a time before in my life when I had to switch companies. My previous company disappeared on me. But I found a book called Jesus Calling, and I always thought that was manna from heaven. So that would be my first recommendation. Find that book. You can download the app on your phone. Don't ever get ahead of it. Just read tomorrow's. It was written for you tomorrow, I promise. You'll see what I'm saying when you get it. So that's the first thing. I acknowledge that I can't fix that. But the second thing I will acknowledge is the reason that a lot of you are, if you're in that world, are at the bottom is because the world has changed. And it may not ever go back exactly again. I think there's 22 retail chains, Sears, GNC, they've all filed bankruptcy this year. Who would have ever dreamed that? So it's not just the mom and pops, it's the big boys not making it. But at the same time, Amazon hired 100,000 employees during this time frame, and revenue has skyrocketed. Stocks have skyrocketed. I could go through a whole list of companies that are direct to the consumer that are going up, 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 up. So that's what we are. We're in the middle of a $4 trillion empire of personal care, essential oils, skincare, nutrition, weight loss. We're redirecting people's spending instead of me letting Jeff Bezos become filthy rich and go create his own newspaper to put his point of views out there that I don't agree with. Then I want to go make my own money, create my own newspaper, and put my point of views out there. You might want to do the same thing. So to do that, we got to do something different. See, if I could have created what I wanted in coaching, that's what I would have done. It was my passion, and I knew how to do it really well, and I loved it. This put me out of my comfort zone for years before I got good and comfortable at it. So I just encourage the $400 getting started. Good grief. I mean, we're in 2020. Anybody come up with $400? It ain't about you may not have it, but you come up with it. I mean, I'm at a gas station right now, and I just filled up before this Zoom started, and it was $64. So, I mean, that's one tank of gas. I think my truck gets me like 330 miles down the road on that tank. So it's, it's not much money is what I'm trying to say. We can come up with it. So what we're really trying to do is stay in our own world of comfortability when that world has left us, instead of getting outside of our comfort zone and maybe getting in something that could change my future, get out of that hollow that I've fallen into, that misery that I always say it's okay to be in misery. Just don't stay there long. Just pass on through.
That's true. Jesus wept tears of blood, and then he got up. And so, yeah, so if you're on this call, things are not going to change unless you change something. If you're in a position and you want something else, then you have to do something. It can't just dream. I don't know about you, Coach, but I'm not a fan of dream boards, just because I don't believe in dreaming. I believe in doing. And if you're dreaming, you're not doing. So it's kind of like, let's do a do board instead of a dream board. So if you're out there, and get this, we know that we have several training opportunities here in the next 3 months, because October to December traditionally is a huge building time for our industry. Is that correct, Coach?
Absolutely.
So spend that time in training, and we do have several virtual events. But if you make it to Destin, number one, you can join Coach on the beach. I am going to the beach, I guarantee you. And by the way, by the time I get there, it'll be 10 more pounds. I just had to put away another set of pants. Woo! So anyway, so I'm actually going to be in a swimsuit. So when we get to Destin, but get this, day one, unless you are going to learn from people, what is it, 1 million? Is that the bottom criteria?
Friday will be above 5 million total earnings in the industry.
Oh, excuse me. If you've only made 1 million, you don't qualify. So if you've made 5 million or above, you're going to learn not from people who have read books. Reading books is good, but people who have actually done it. And not only, this is the difference, I think, Coach. And I mean, you are really big on, out here in the West right now, we're still locked down. But you are really big on one-on-one destination, getting in front of people and having relationship belly to belly where you can actually talk to the leaders. So virtual is nice. Beaches are better.
Our restaurants here say, by mandate of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, you are not required to wear a mask in this facility. So come eat, mask free, enjoy the beach.
All right, you heard it. Be there, be square, be there, be profitable, be there, be successful, or create your own environment with the words you speak. So anyway, thank you, Coach. I mean, wasn't this worth it? Come on, let's give Coach a great big round. Come on, let's give him a great big round of applause. Let's do a wave coming from left to right. All right. No, I was never a cheerleader. Sorry, I was a gymnast. I was a runner. I was an athlete. So anyway, thank you for coming. Whoever invited you on this call tonight, they invited you because they believe in you. They invited you because we only invite positive people who we know can and will. So if you're invited, you're a can person, you're a will person, you're a do person, and we want you to be a part of the family. So get back to the person who invited you. And I have only one question for you. If you're new, are you ready to get started? Thank you, Coach. We're going to unmute the lines, stop the recording, and please tell Coach thank you, because he is on his way for a long drive to see our friends, Miss Beth